Hello, and welcome back to Apaka Podcast. This is episode 12 of our Lore Drop series, where we go behind the scenes and explore the setting of our post-apocalyptic adventure before it starts. As our subscribers already know, the rules for the ABC game engine have advanced enough that we can proceed with alpha testing. Today, I am speaking with one of my alpha testers, Kyle. Now, Kyle, would you be so kind as to tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with tabletop role-playing games?
Hey, Erik. Yeah, I have had quite a few years of experience with tabletop role-playing games. I would say it started as early as college. I think it was about 1920. It was actually a Star Wars role-playing game. We played that for about a year, and then we transitioned to the classic Dungeons & Dragons. That was 3.5 edition. We stayed with that for a while. I myself transitioned then to Pathfinder, which is the almost the direct competitor from Paizo Publishing. I have been a diehard fan of theirs and the setting and the content that they produce. I still play their second edition now. I also am familiar with 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and so I play one or two games, I think, on occasion with multiple people now. Scheduling is difficult because everyone has jobs and or families. So that's always the biggest challenge. But yeah, I would say I'm pretty well versed in tabletop gaming.
I will go ahead and second that the hardest thing about this hobby is getting 4 grown-ups in the same room together. So just for the listeners, Kyle is not some random person that I just found on the internet. Kyle was my game master. A couple of years ago, our friend Jeremy, who is going to be playing Relic on the podcast, he was like, hey, do you guys want to play Dungeons & Dragons? And then that was just the end of my life. It just kind of spiraled from there. But Kyle has run... it was actually a relatively long campaign for what was it, 5 of us?
There was 5. You were playing a very roguish character, very chaotic. That said, you were a chaos bringer in a group of chaos bringers. You had your own flavor, but everyone had so much chaos in that game. And that was... I feel like that was a lot of pent-up inner chaos that they had to unleash with everyone in their jobs.
Yes, and thank you, Kyle, for all of your hard work. Now that I am a game master, I have a better understanding of the amount of effort that goes into each session. So hopefully this playtest will offer you an opportunity to bring some chaos into my game. Okay, now that is enough of a walk down memory lane. Most of these character episodes ended up being pretty long, mostly because of interpersonal banter, and so I was hoping that this episode might actually be a little bit shorter than the rest to demonstrate how simple it is to actually build a character in the ABC system. So with that being said, if you are okay with it, Kyle, I would like to dive right into building a character.
I think that sounds great. Let's go for it. I was told that this is a post-apocalyptic setting. I don't know the level of technology or medicine that they have. I'm going to assume it's not great. And so when you don't have access to professional surgeons and medicine, you need the best of what's available. And who then to look to other than the Barber Ron?
I love that. Yes, medical treatment would definitely be in demand in such a rough post-apocalyptic world, and I love the throwback to the fact that barbers were also surgeons, in our real past. So this is definitely something that is in agreement with the guild system that is already in place with Kita Kita. I could imagine the Barber Ron being part of some kind of medical guild, or maybe even just a barber's guild. Maybe we'll just use that word. I'll have to think about that. Interesting. Look at you, already giving me ideas. Okay, so we've got a name, and we have a bio. So let's move down the character sheet. What about Ron's current life goals?
All right, let's see. If I had to pick a current goal, it would be to own that picket farm fence down the road. He's just been looking at it all year long, and he just wants it so bad.
As a renter, I can relate to that. Great, now let's move on to Ron the Barber's attributes. At level 1, your character starts out with a pool of 9 attributes. You can spend your pool to increase any of your attribute scores, and all of your attribute scores start at 0. As a reminder, the 6 attributes are attack, defense, savvy, insight, body, and know-how.
Okay, and so it doesn't matter. I can distribute them however I please?
Yes. In this early version of the rules, you can distribute them any way you want. For example, you could put all 9 points into attack and leave everything else at 0.
Okay.
Now, such a character would probably not live very long, but technically there's nothing stopping you.
That's fair. Okay, when you say body, I assume that means your internal health, how tough you are?
So, yes and no. The body stat covers all forms of personal movement, such as running, jumping, climbing, sneaking, etc. It also covers combat initiative, carrying capacity, and your resistance to unusual types of damage, such as poison, exhaustion, or radiation.
Okay. Oh, I get that. So attack is how good you are at actually hurting people versus body, which could reflect better your athleticism.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. All right. Okay. In that case, so know-how, I assume that is what it is. Savvy. Now, I'm trying to discern between savviness and know-how. So how would you describe the difference between them?
Great question. You could consider being savvy like being streetwise and knowing how to influence people. You know, being personable, negotiating, lying, that sort of stuff. While know-how covers subject knowledge. Know-how includes both classical book knowledge and the ability to do something with that knowledge, such as crafting or performing a service.
All right, I think I got a good plan now. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is right off the bat, make sure I put at least 1 point in defense, because if I don't, I will regret it later. The next is, I got a feeling, knowing Justin and Jeremy, I have a feeling that they are going to be attack firsters. I am going to balance the board a little bit. I'm going to focus on the more mental stats. And that makes sense because my character is a barber. You need to know how to cut hair. So I'm going to add 3 points right away into know.
Yeah, exactly. You need the know-how for the hair cutting, not for the medical surgery part. That's not why you need the know-how.
All right, so insight, I'm going to do 2 to insight because you need to be able to discern when people are not feeling good in order to know your business. Let's see, so that's 6 so far, so I got 3 left. Okay, I'm going to just disperse them evenly, I think, between attack, savvy, and body.
Great. So that covers all your attributes. Can you summarize them for me, please?
All right, so we have attack 1, defense 1, savvy 1, insight 2, body 1, and know-how 3.
Fantastic. Okay, now at level 1, you also get 1 focus area and 1 specialty.
Okay, yep, that makes sense. Is there any know-how based focuses?
Yes. The focus areas for know-how are nature, digital, and mechanical know-how.
Makes sense. Let's go with nature. Okay, awesome. I did put in parentheses know-how, so I make sure to associate that focus.
As a level 1 character, you also get 1 free specialty. Now, specialties are very specific and are within your focus area. Specialties typically only cover 1 kind of action. For example, if you had a specialty in body, it might cover sneaking. Now, when you perform actions within your specialty, you get an additional +1 bonus on top of the +1 bonus you get from your focus area.
Okay, yeah. So because it's more narrow, you get more benefit because it's your mastery.
Now, specialties are unique to your character, and you can pretty much pick anything you want.
Okay, all right. Oh, so I can pick any specialty within nature. So for nature, it could be if we wanted to go, dark, we could do poisons, or lighter side, we could do medicine. I think I'm gonna do carpentry. I'm kidding. I'm going to do medicine.
So we've done our attributes, our foci and specialties. Now there's the gear box on your character sheet. You can see that the top circle has already been filled in for you. That's because every character gets to carry a primary weapon for free. However, for each point in body, or body strength, if you happen to have a focus in strength, you would fill in an additional circle, which would represent an additional item you could carry on your person without penalty.
All right, I have 2 slots.
Do you believe Ron will be a melee fighter, say with a sword or dagger, or do you think he'll be a range fighter with maybe a light pistol?
Ooh, let's see. I think for the time being, let's play it safe and let's go with ranged.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, all right. So it's loaded with ammo, so it's already preloaded before combat.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, and so if you want to reload it, you need to have it in your list.
Also correct. Moving down the character sheet, we have wounds, which we won't need to change unless you purchase some armor, so we will skip over that to boons and liabilities.
All right. Well, I think we did mention liability, and what I put down was owes money. His medical equipment's expensive. He was saving up, and he swore he was going to pay it back.
Kyle, this is getting too real. Ron can't afford a house and is saddled with college debt. This is supposed to be an escapist podcast.
Even in the post-apocalypse, you can't get away from it.
Okay, now on to boons. You get 2 small ones or 1 large one.
Let's see. I think one of them could be, how about emergency, like quick first aid, something along those lines.
What I was thinking was 1d6 that you just kind of like add on top of your current roll. It's the opposite of when you really, really, really need it dead. It's when you really, really, really need it alive. You can save it.
Okay, yeah, for when you really need to make it count.
That's a once per day, and so I'd say that's a small boon, and so you could do a second ability if you wanted.
Second ability. Let's see, what can we do? Something along the lines of once per day, you can reduce the damage of the previous attack dealt by 4, or whatever you think is an appropriate number.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop you there, and I'm going to say that's Pathfinder talk.
Oh,
that's
true.
That's numbers. That's bonuses. That's you're an Excel spreadsheet playing a game. I'm going to ask you to back out for a minute and think about the character and who he is and what is something either a special thing. So like with the healing ability, he has like this special insight. We can pretend, we can flavor it as like if you've ever seen The Good Doctor, where he like zooms out and starts visualizing the body in 3 dimensions and like figures out where the wound is, or he could be like super lucky and it just happens to work out for him. like we can flavor that ability as something about the character. And so if you're looking for it could be a special tool that the character has on them, and then we can figure out what that tool does, or it could be again, we could go back to a special ability.
Okay, I think I got something then. So see, I didn't call him Dr. Ron. He's Barber Ron. He is before doctors were a thing. Barbers were the surgeons.
Yeah.
So his tool won't be a scalpel and it won't be a bandage. It will be a pair of pliers.
Okay.
What's this thing? You don't need it. Yoink.
Oh, I love it. Okay, yeah. So what makes this player I can talk, I promise. So what makes this pair of pliers special? Is it an heirloom? Is it maybe a digital artifact? Because just to throw a little bit in here, it's post-apocalyptic, but the past was actually what we would call futuristic. So if you want, you could have like a artifact from the past that's like a laser tool, if that made sense.
Ooh, I like that. So I think let's call it a digital artifact. And at one point, he was negligent with his own care, and so he ended up with a rotten tooth. And at one point, he had to get rid of it. It was too painful, and so he found these pliers during his transit to another village, and he used to pull it out, and there was something special about them.
I love it. Okay, we can think about the flavor of that, but I like that. We can honestly probably put that in with the first ability if we wanted to. We could probably say it has some kind of like a battery life, and that's why you can get like that 1d6 bonus on a healing check. Is that you can power it on and have it do some fancy spinning gyro, self-stitching rigmarole. What do you think of that?
I like it. All right, so digital artifact, pliers, source of boon. I think the only other thing I can think of off the top of my head is, even though he isn't especially savvy, he has a savviness of 1. I think part of the tools of his trade is convincing people his services are necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs to be able to talk himself into helping others.
Okay, how about this? How about if he needs to make like the equivalent of a bluff check or some kind of savvy check to convince someone, instead of using his savvy, if he's talking about medical things, he can use his know-how to convince somebody that he's a doctor, or he's like medical related things. He uses his know-how, kind of like a snow job, where he just starts rattling off medical terms, and or he doesn't necessarily have to do that, but one way is he could rattle off like medical terms and just like overwhelm the person with information, like whatever you say, doctor, or whatever you say, barber.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, so if I do incorporate what I would be specialized in, Barber Ron can use that as a savvy-based role in certain circumstances.
Yeah. I'm gonna correct myself a little bit. What we'll say is that your focus and your specialty can apply to savvy roles if it's within your focus and your specialty. That's what we'll do. So that way you're not getting like +5 to savvy and medical. You'll have like a 3 if you're trying to do a savvy about a medical.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, I think that works.
Sweet. I think that's everything. Unless you had any other questions.
Not that I can think of. I think we've started to flesh out the barber. I think all I have left is I'm looking forward to trying this one session and this one shot and see how it goes. It's been great. I have heard a couple of your previous podcasts, so I've been looking forward more and more seeing this grow and seeing how this is going.
Yeah, I'm excited to have gotten this far. Okay, well, thank you, Kyle, for coming out and talking with me and taking the time. I know that you're a busy grown adult with big responsible things, so taking the time is I understand how much that costs. Maybe not in dollars and cents, but time becomes your most important commodity as you get older. So I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. I really appreciate you taking the time to help me play test. And I am super excited and looking forward to this. Thank you for coming out here. Listeners, if you pay attention to Twitter or Patreon, you'll hear announcements of when the alpha test is coming up. Thank you guys for listening. This is the ABCGM signing off. See you next time.